Cooking safety starts with you. Pay attention to fire prevention.
The best time for planting trees in the Rio Grande Valley runs from October to February. Planting them during this time gives young trees time to develop root systems that can withstand our intense summer heat. After determining that you have selected the right tree for the right place, dig a hole with an irregular shape, not round, keeping the sides of the hole rough and uneven. The hole should be at least twice as wide as the diameter of the tree's container and no deeper than the soil in the container. You want the root ball to rest on firm soil when planted. After removing the tree from the container, loosen the outer roots of the root ball, especially if they have begun to circle the inside of the container. Set the tree in the center of the hole with the top of the soil of the root ball about 1 inch above ground level because the tree will eventually settle some after planting. After ensuring that the tree is standing straight, backfill the hole with the same soil removed during the digging, not improved soil, tamping it down as you fill, and create a small wall or berm about 3 feet in diameter around the tree to contain water. Cover the area inside the berm with about 2 inches of chipped wood mulch or dried leaves, keeping it about 4 inches away from the tree trunk. Mulch helps shield the roots from heat and helps the soil retain moisture. Afterwards, water the tree slowly until water puddles within the berm. When watering, water around the tree inside the berm and try to avoid wetting the trunk. Water the tree thoroughly 3 times per week for the first month unless it rains. Water it thoroughly twice per week for the second month, once per week for the third month, and afterwards twice per month or as needed for the remainder of the first year.
And now, a workshop of the McAllen City Commission. All workshops are open to the public in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. These workshops allow for detailed staff presentations.
Good afternoon. Welcome to today's city workshop. Do we have first item, any questions to the staff regarding the meeting?
Mayor, it's just one item. It's on the stormwater sewer project on Lark and 17th, 15th Street out there. I've already spoken to staff to kind of give us a detailed report. Commissioner Aguirre and myself, even though that's not my district, we received various concerns and comments about that project.
Certainly. Anything else?
Nothing else. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, if not, item number 2, presentation.
Mayor Commission, Michael Williamson is the city's appointee to the RMA. He reached out to me a number of weeks ago to inquire when the last time the RMA was here before us to present on the status of their work, and I think we collectively agreed we're not sure that they've ever been here. So we very much appreciate your representative on that board reaching out, wanting to bring staff over to give an update to the City Commission on that project. So, Michael.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I'd just like to say a few words, if you don't mind, prior to the presentation starting. Mayor Villalobos and City Commissioners, thank you very much for us being here today. We appreciate you allowing the RMA to come in and present. On August 2023, I was appointed by the City Commission in Hidalgo County as a director on the Hidalgo County Regional Mobility Authority. I appreciate the appointment and the opportunity to assist the City of McAllen and Hidalgo with the current and future transportation needs. A total of 7 directors led by our new chairman, Robert Lozano, brings local leadership to the local issues impacting our transportation network. Our focus is to continue to provide transportation opportunities to Hidalgo County through a teamwork approach with all stakeholders. Our 2025 strategic plan includes, among other things, the implementation of a community outreach program that explains the past, present, and future plans for the City of McAllen and Hidalgo County. In third and fourth quarter of 2024, and the first quarter of 2025, the HCRMA has visited over 20 trade groups, including the McAllen Economic Development Corporation, RGV Partnership, South Texas Manufacturing Association, Mid-Valley Custom Brokers Association, and many others. This is an example of our commitment to informing the public of what we're doing and where we're going. We look forward to our continued efforts and serving the City of McAllen and Hidalgo County. If you ever have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact myself or any of the directors on the board, and of course our staff. We can provide a tour of the 365 Tollway and answer any of your questions for where we are now and where we're going. I would like to turn now the presentation over to Ruben or Pilar Rodriguez so that we can continue the presentation. Thank you for your time, and God bless.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, mayors, commissioners. My name is Ruben Alvaro. I'm the development engineer for the RMA. Today we're here to present you with some project updates of the 365 toll. The updates that we just passed on December for the strategic plan for the RMA, and then some other, I'm going to touch a little bit on the permits that you need to develop along 365. So we'll start with who we are. The Hidalgo County Mobility Authority, like we said, we're an independent governmental agency. We were created by Texas Transportation Commission and the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court on 2005 to accelerate needed transportation projects in Hidalgo County. We're overseen by a 7-member board of directors. One of them, as you know, is appointed by the City of McAllen. Every county commissioner gets 1 appointee, and the judge gets 1 appointee. And the last one is appointed by the governor, which is our chairman, Robert Lozano. So what we do, our purpose is to provide Hidalgo County with opportunities to accelerate needed transportation projects through the direction of that local board making local choices for local mobility needs. And the purpose is to enhance the quality of life and the economic growth for all residents in our region. The services we provide to the county, we oversee the overweight oversized corridor. We administer it for TxDOT. Right now we're in the process of constructing 365 toll road, and the ultimate project for us is to complete the Hidalgo County loop. So following with the overweight oversized corridors, as you can see, we have a map of the 16 streets that are part of these overweight oversized corridors. They're all on-system roads for TxDOT. The purpose of this is to allow shippers to securely order specialized overweight permits online through us, and the permit covers travel over those streets shown above. to a legal weight limit of 125,000 pounds. So that allows you to go from the normal 80,000 pounds to 125,000 pounds, as long as you stay within this corridor, which serves most of the ports of entry. Following, I'll be explaining our strategic plan, our strategic priorities, and some updates on the existing projects that we have. Starting with 365 toll segment 3, which you see here in yellow. That has been completed as of 2018. That connects the port of entry to the entrance of 365 toll. After that, we have 365 toll segments 1 and 2, which you can see extend from the entrance at Military Highway all the way to San Luis International Bridge. That project is currently in construction, and we expect to complete that project by November of this year. Following that, we see IVTC in pink here. That project has been environmentally cleared by the RMA. As you know, it's a tedious process, a long process to get these projects environmentally cleared since they're mega projects. That was environmentally cleared by the RMA, and TxDOT was able to fully fund this project, so it was transferred last year to TxDOT to be completely designed and constructed. Along with that project, SH68 was also a project that TxDOT undertook as part of a strategic plan. That project should be getting environmental clearance by the summer, and then following with the final design and construction of the project. I think the letting date for that one is 2029, sorry. Then those are the projects that are already environmentally clear or close to environmental clearance. From this strategic plan, our priority number 1 is to extend 365 from San Luis International Bridge to Conway Avenue. That's our first priority with a construction cost of $91 million. That project's also environmentally clear, but it requires an environmental refresher because of the time has passed from when we environmentally cleared this project. Our second priority would be Section A, connecting from Conway Avenue all the way to I-2 on the La Jolla Relief Route area. That's a project you see here in green. That project has a construction cost of $200 million and total development cost of $320 million. After that, strategic priority number 3 would be what you see in orange here, connecting to one of the legs of IVTC that's closer to the Donna International Bridge and ending up connecting at I-2 along the Hidalgo County, Cameron County line. After that, strategic priority number 4 is Section E, which goes from I-2 on the east side of the county and eventually connects to SH68, which will at that point be built by TxDOT. That project has a total construction cost of $586 million and a total development cost of $935 million. And then our last priority, priority number 5, is Section C, with a construction cost of $778 million and a total development cost of $1.2 billion. That one connects from the La Jolla Relief Route area at I-2, and then goes north and turns east on the north and goes all the way to I-69C. It's important to mention as well that these are lines on a map. The only routes that are defined are IVTC and what you see in yellow, which are 365. The rest, those lines can be adjusted as part of the environmental process, and that will tell us what the best route for these roads are. So moving on from there, updates on 365 toll. We got environmental clearance in 2015. 100% right-of-way was acquired in 2018, and construction was completed for segment 3 on November of 2018, as I mentioned, with a final cost of $19 million. Phase 2 of this project, which is the segments 1 and 2, which you see on this area, are the ones that are currently under construction from Military to San Luis Highway. That project got a notice to proceed to police construction in 2022, and like I mentioned, it's expected to be completed in November of 2025. Segment 4, which is what you see with priority 1, that priority 1 is proposed to let in 2029. As soon as we get environmental clearance, we'll proceed with right-of-way acquisition and final design with an estimated total cost of $110 million, and it's supposed to be completed in 2031. This is a typo. Like I said, segment 1 and 2 is under construction, with a contract time of 1,264 days, a contract amount of $295 million. The contractor is Police Construction, same contractor that was working on the interchange. Time to date is 1,000 days, so they have about 260 days to complete the project. We have paid an amount of $140 million, and the completion rate is now at 60%. That completion rate was when we sent the presentation, but as of the last board meeting, the progress is at 60%. Some additional information in segments 1 and 2. It has frontage roads from Military Highway to Thomas Road in FAR, and then from 10th Street to 23rd Street here in McAllen. Then it goes from Sherry Road to San Luis Connector as well with frontage roads, and that's on both the eastbound and the westbound directions. Here are some pictures of the project. As you can see, this is the San Luis Connector, which is the west end of the project. You'll see the connector at the very far north of the picture, and then all the concrete pavement being completed there under the bridge. This is the same area, but looking east. As you can see, most of the concrete pavement is being completed, and the contractor is moving forward with all of the items. The next picture is the flood levee bridge. This one was one of the major milestones for the project and has been completed as well. Some other pictures. This is east of Pascock Road intersection. The contractor is working on the continuously reinforced concrete pavement on the westbound lanes. This is the Jackson Road overpass. We're working on irrigation canal bypass and the column caps to prepare for the beam setting for the bridges. This is on I Road and Thomas Road intersection. This intersection has been closed. This intersection is going to have a roundabout below the 365 bridge, and we're going to cross over that roundabout. So the contractor is working on the columns and preparing for construction of the roundabout, as I mentioned. This is the Anaja Road overpass. The contractor has completed beam installation and is preparing to work on the bridge deck to proceed with the concrete bridge slab. Some information again on segment 4. It's going to connect Conway Avenue to San Luis Highway with a 3.47 miles length. It's estimated at $140 million. Like I mentioned, expected letting date of 2029. The next steps for this project is getting the environmental refresher, acquiring the right-of-way, and finalizing the PS&E development. And we expect this to be an extension of the toll road, so the funding for this project would come from toll revenue funds. Some updates on IDTC, as I mentioned, this is environmentally clear. It's a project that the schematic has been approved, so the route is completely defined. The RMA did complete some right-of-way acquisition, protective right-of-way acquisition for this project, and the rest has been transitioned to TxDOT. TxDOT is going to finalize purchasing the right-of-way, and it's fully funded for construction. The PS&E contract was executed on December of last year. SH68, TxDOT is in the final stages of the environmental, and it's expected to be environmentally clear by the summer, as I mentioned. And the schematic for this project is also about 95% complete. Some information about development along 365. Once it's completed, you can go to our website, and there's under documents you can find policies and forms. There you can find the access management policy for the RMA, which basically mimics the management policy that's in place by TxDOT. There you can see the requirements for streets, driveways, you name it, to connect to our infrastructure. So the driver request form that we have, you have to submit that for street tie-ins, commercial driveways, residential driveways, temporary driveways, sidewalks, and to connect to our drainage system as well. And that's all I have for today. In case there's any questions, we're here to answer them.
I have a quick question, and it's a very basic question, but you have to refresh my memory. How is the RMA funded?
I'll answer that.
Thank you, Pilar.
Pilar Rodriguez. So right now, we receive vehicle registration fees. So every year when you register your vehicle in Hidalgo County, there's a $20 fee that's tacked onto that. 10 of it goes to the Hidalgo County Road and Bridge, and then 10 of it comes to the Mobility Authority. The other funding stream we have is the overweight permits that we issue. And so we issue about $8 million in permit fees a year, and about $2 million of that comes to the RMA.
Didn't realize that. And so the other question that I had is, in terms of the financing for the construction, most of these projects have been by bonds or?
Yes, we've issued approximately $300 million in debt that have been backed by the vehicle registration fees, have been backed by toll revenue bonds.
Okay.
And out of the 300 million that's been, I guess, funded, all of that was for, let's say, shovel-ready projects, or how much of that is still pending start?
So most of that was for the 365 tollway, although about 15 million of that, we used it to get IBTC environmentally clear. We used it to do some protective right-of-way purchases, and we also relocated about 104 homes that were in the right-of-way footprint. So single-family residential homes and mobile homes, we've moved those residents and moved them out into new homes and gotten them out of the corridor.
As I recall, the RMA was kind of an entity that was created to allow it to go out and obtain or create revenue bonds and not, I guess, I hate to use the word drag, but to encumber the county with that responsibility,
That's
right?
correct. Yeah, all the debt is issued by the authority. It's, nobody else is encumbered, nobody else is backing that debt, and the authority has to service it all. We also did get a $155 million grant from TxDOT that was applied towards the 365 tollway, and then IBTC was funded in the amount of $238 million by TxDOT for the construction.
And my final question, just so I'm clear, the Ansel Lewis connector, that's completely TxDOT. It has nothing to do with the RMA, correct?
No, the Ansel Lewis connector is infrastructure that we built to connect Ansel Lewis Bridge directly to the 365 tollway.
There's north-south, so I
I'm
think
sorry.
what the
Brian
commissioner is
Road.
referring to is the
Brian
Ansel
Road.
Lewis
Sorry,
Highway.
sorry.
That's FM 396.
I'm sorry, FM
Ansel Lewis
396
Highway.
is what I meant.
Yeah.
That's completely TxDOT, right?
That's completely.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And everything roughly on the strategic plan, it's known as the loop, right? The question we would probably just get on the outside, explain all the details, and the question they're gonna ask me is, when's it all gonna be done, right?
So the plan is, to get it all done is a 40-year plan.
It's a 40-year plan.
Yeah, and it's about approximately 120 miles of expressway type facility. But it's a 40-year plan, and we're about 10 years in, and we're approximately 5 years ahead of schedule.
And it looks like the I-69 connector, and I guess what would be a section way up north, Edinburgh, those are the ones that are farthest out as far as time frame, right?
Yes, I-69 connector right now is going through scoping. You've seen the notices for public scoping project, but that is intended to eventually connect I-69 East
Yes.
over in Cameron County and the Second Causeway, and then connect it to I-69 Central and of course the toll road, and eventually that facility is projected to keep going west. Yeah.
Realize.
There was a lot of.
Within 20 years, are you likely to have, I was trying to figure out if there's gonna be at least one side of the loop done, but it still looks like both sides would be closer to the 30, 40-year mark, right?
Yeah, so the way the plan is right now, they're on the tail end, the two most
To go-
easterly and westerly segments are on the tail. And they're the two biggest projects.
Yeah, you could see that.
And obviously, we have a preference for prioritizing segment 5 over segment 4.
I see
Right.
that too.
So one of the things the RMA has decided to undertake is that we're gonna start environmental clearance. Ruben mentioned that section F, which is this kind of orange in the bottom, section A, which is the green, but it looks like we're also gonna start environmental clearance on section C, which is the west side. And that's gonna take us a little bit longer to environmentally clear it because that's considered a major project by the Federal Highway Administration, and it's gonna require a record of decision and not you have the categorical exclusion, which is the kind of the easy environmental clearance. You got an environmental assessment, which is kind of the middle one, and then you've got a record of decision, which is the toughest and most stringent one. Well, because of the size and scope of the project, it's gonna require the toughest or the most stringent environmental clearance, just because of its size.
And on section C, tentatively speak, or just, I guess, relatively speaking, it follows the path of Hadachina's Road?
No.
No.
Hadachina's Road is further west.
Oh, I see.
It really lays, if you have been out there and you take the La Jolla Relief Route north and then it kind of curves back west, it would project in a northerly direction.
I see.
The the alignment hasn't been said. That's based on work that the RMA did back in 2010. You know, we did a kind of a route study, and a lot of things have changed out there. There's been a lot of urbanization. So when we go through the environmental clearance, there'll be a whole new route study done to determine where it'll fall.
Yeah, one of the things is, you know, if you really do have to have your timing right, because you can environmentally clear something and then you get development going and you have to change and you have to redo the environmental clearance. So it has its challenges, but if we can decide on the specific routes, it's without that and then, you know, have a plan to encumber all of the right-of-ways and easements and get it cleared as soon as possible. Then you can start really pushing for funding.
Yes, sir.
Different avenues. So, you know, what comes first? First is you have to decide on that route and stay with the route and clear it so that you can, you know, flow a lot better and try to get additional fundings when funding is available. And push, and that's what we're here for. If there's things that we need to look at to try to get, you know, push for funding from any agency or federal government or state, whatever.
Yes, sir. Commissioner, you're absolutely correct. The toughest hurdle we have to get over is the environmental clearance. That's the toughest one. Getting it designed is a lot easier, and actually, you know, they're mega projects. So these are all to be defined as a mega project. They need to be in about the $500 million cost total development cost. A lot of times that kind of funding, we got to go to TxDOT, even the Federal Highway Administration. 365 tollway, actually, the $155 million is actually federal. It's all federal dollars. It's what are called toll credits that the Federal Highway Administration awarded us for the project. And then, of course, you know, toll revenue bonds is the next avenue that you look at.
And, you know, this isn't rocket science. It's done all over, okay, the country and here and state. There's so many roads being built, you know, everywhere, you know, and bypasses. And this is what it basically is. We need to get all of the heavy trucks away from our cities so that they won't go through our cities. And it'd be easier for them to cross the bridge and you know, offload and unload so it can get to wherever it needs to get, you know, in our country. So, and Canada. So, I mean, it's very, very important that we just know, you know, where it's going and how can we get some funding, even if it's for one leg to another leg to another leg. Yes, and definitely for us, for Ansalduas, it's that western leg is extremely important. So we need to make sure that we get a priority, and you're representing us, Michael, so, you know, to move on that leg.
Just one other thing, Commissioner, that the reason the costs are so high on these is that these facilities are being designed for overweight traffic.
Yes.
They're designed for truck traffic, to get them to and through the county.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what it was. That's what it was for 10 years ago.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Just real quick, finally, the issue is we want to make them as fast as possible, because chances are, by the time it's done, I'm mummified. I'm gone. But the county has been talking about that they can do it faster, that they want to transfer the project over there. What's going on with that?
So the short answer is that legally we can't transfer the project over to the county. The RMA has what's called primacy on these projects, and that was a process, and you know, it's an obsolete process, but it was a process that was done about 15 years ago, and established that the RMA had jurisdiction for, you know, over these projects. And the statute that covers that only allows us to transfer the projects to TxDOT. We can only, if we're not gonna work on a project, we can give it to TxDOT, but it doesn't give us the authority to give it to a local government or to the county, as an example. And so we're looking to see if there's, you know, if there's other avenues that we can work together with the county, because the county wants to accelerate those projects. We had a meeting with them a couple of weeks ago, and we laid out a framework to accelerate the project, and we're hoping to hear back from the county and see if they want to partner up to work on the project now versus later.
Well, if there's any way we can help somehow, politically, financially, well, it's a little bit harder, but we're here.
So Mayor, we've been invited to participate in those meetings. We were at the meeting where the RMA laid out their proposal to the county and to Mission. The county and Mission have asked for input from the city. At this point, I have not yet completed evaluation of what we think might be best for us, but we are certainly looking at those issues, including the issue of primacy and whether that still exists or not. So just to let the commission know that the city and the city manager's office is fully engaged in those conversations.
I had some questions on that to the mayor's point, but I'll probably just hold off until you guys perform some due diligence, and maybe we have county officials to answer some questions as well. Probably not fair to send some of those to the RMA. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe y'all can visit us every now and then with presentations.
So we plan to come about every 6 months.
Excellent.
Date every 6 months.
Thank you so much. Home Valley Animal Society.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Well, got a grandson, I'd like to see it. It'd be wonderful to see.
Mario's going to be doing the presentation for the PVAS, just to kind of give everybody
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity to present this to you. What we wanted to do is essentially just kind of give you an update where we're at on the design process with the shelter design project. Kind of go through some of the components of that design, show you where we're at, and we'll be going next steps going through that. So, slide. So we've been working collaboratively with Palm Valley Animal Shelter, Michelle, and staff on the design process moving forward. We've engaged with our consultant, Shelter Planners of America, who's assembled their design team as well. It essentially consists of the architect, MEPs, site civil, and landscape that'll, ultimately put this project together for us. The scope, as we awarded, or was going to award, is actually in 2 phases. What you'll see here is the architectural programming, which is the phase that we're currently in, and then we would move into the design and construction document development. Yes, exactly. That's a good point. Just to kind of give you an idea of where our project is situated, what we're looking at developing, one thing we like to do is kind of step back and bring you to where we are today. Originally, when we first solicited the project for design, we were concentrating on improvements to the Trenton facility, which is the Palm Valley Animal Shelter Trenton site that does have housing, does have some of the intake elements there as well. Since then, we moved forward with, with direction of the executive board at PVAS to look at an alternate site. That was actually occurred during solicitation. So with the award of Shelter Planners of America, that's where we ended up essentially in a programming phase and ultimately, like I said, the construction document phase. The site we're looking at right now is the Laurie P. Andrews Center, located in Edinburgh off the Furnace Road, just a little south of Monte Cristo. The campus itself is about 6 acres total. The existing facilities, roughly 28,000 square feet, houses the admin portion of the operations as well as intake, animal housing and such. To the, what would be your left side on the south of the building is essentially animal exercise areas that are comprised as part of the facility. The area we're looking at potentially developing into the expansion of the shelter, the new shelter facility, is what you see on the right side of the screen there, which would be that empty area off to the north side of the facility. Roughly encompasses about an acre. When looking at some of the site setbacks, we're roughly looking at 20,000 square foot facility that could be built there, subject to parking and site assessments that would kind of whittle that area down that will go through the programming phase. So just briefly to talk about the architectural programming elements. The architectural program is basically the assessment tool that our consultant is using with us to basically lay out the project. It's a very data heavy portion of the project, consisting of a lot of the data collection for animal intake, animal disposition, and yearly intakes as far as future and current, as well as what they've seen in the past. The animal demographics, like I said, that's actually when we move into the schedule, that's kind of where we're at right now. The other component to that is actually the building space program, which, if you recall, when we presented the City Hall design, it's essentially the same element. So in addition to a lot of the data collection, that building space program will actually be comprised of a site assessment, operation assessment of existing facilities to determine what size specific elements of the services would require in the building itself. A portion of that too is the actual outdoor area and site assessment development for it, to look at what the current uses are outside of the facility, not strictly just the animal housing, but some of the relationships you have with the outdoor space that the animals use during their stay or when potential adoptions occur. That's one thing we learned from the feasibility that was done before we moved on to this project, was the well-being and the care of the animals, as well as the options to invite people over to adopt. Those outdoor areas play a crucial role in just the overall well-being of the animal, and the potential for somebody adopting them. Once all that information is put together, then we'll move into a schematic layout. The consultant and his team will kind of lay out what the potential building footprint could look like. Using the building space program, a lot of the specific areas as far as intake, housing, potential veterinary care in the area, and then ultimately with that we'll be able to develop our opinion of probable cost for the facility. Slide. Moving on to the schedule, kind of broke it out for you in these several steps. Currently we're in the data collection phase. Like I said, we've been working collaboratively with PVAS on requesting the data that the consultant's going to use to actually map this out for us. The data dissemination review will take a couple of weeks. Once they have that information in hand, they'll actually use their models, their statistical analysis, and their experience to essentially create the program that we're going to use to move forward. With that, we're at, and like I said, it's pretty labor-intensive on the data side. We'd conduct a day-and-a-half site visit with PVAS staff and stakeholders to basically get an idea of the operations, day-to-day, volunteer assistance, everything that kind of will give us our ultimate goal of figuring out what the space needs for the facility would be. Putting the draft report together is estimated to run about 8 to 10 weeks. And then once that draft report is prepared, it'll be brought back to us for review and comment with city staff and PVAS staff as well. And then moving on to actually finalize that report about another week's time or so. Big picture, schedule-wise, this is the anticipated project timeline that we're looking at. The programming phase would run 4 months, and then after that, design, which is what we're concentrating on moving with these elements forward, would take another, estimate another 9 months. And with that, I will turn it over for any questions.
Both those phases are with the same firm, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So once they have all that, once we have the report, they really need 9 months to, doesn't seem lengthy?
That, Commissioner, is an estimate at this point based on, it's kind of hard to tell right now with a little bit of the data. We may be able to roll up some of those activities, especially since we do have data from the previous feasibility study.
Yeah.
The 9 months in there, we worked also bringing that back to commission for award of contract and contract preparation. So it's kind of a snowball of activities within that time frame.
So after the design of 9 months, what would be the final, what would we have in hand? Construction set?
Construction documents, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it would basically go through the same process that we have with other facilities, the schematic design, design development, and then construction documents.
All right.
So just kind of leading off that question, just to advise, obviously it's in Edinburgh, and so when we get to construction, permitting and inspections and everything would be going through that city. That's something that we normally don't, we do it in-house here with our own department, but it's another, we'd have to get used to their processes and things, just to kind of let everybody know.
The current Trenton site is in Edinburgh also?
Yes, sir.
Right. And so what is the plan with that?
They haven't decided yet. They have not decided yet. They're in discussions amongst themselves, but they felt that putting more money into that site with its long and narrow and the condition of those buildings there just wasn't a good investment in the future. They may decide to sell it and use that money towards their portion of construction, but that's been undecided as of yet.
Can you give me any other insight on that?
That's the last conversation we had with the PBES board, is they're evaluating their options on the value of that site.
I go to all their board meetings, and that was the last discussion they've had.
And I noticed you say they, okay, but you go to the board meeting, and I think we have a representative from our city commission there also. So, is that the best, is that what's the decision to make it better over there, or make it bigger? And
I think so. I think them pivoting over to the Lori Andrews site is probably the right move. From a cost perspective, for sure it's going to be. It's probably going to be half the cost of what it would be over at the old Trenton site. Plus that old Trenton site, the lifespan of it, even if you were to improve it, given the nature and dimensions of that property and difficulty in doing it in phases, would also, I think, have a lot of hurdles moving forward.
no, I kind of,
Plus, moving everything towards Lori Andrews, which is obviously a much newer facility, tying it to that kind of retail center that they have, gives them a lot more options with the Trenton property, whether it's to sell or figure out a different use for it.
Plus, it'll also make them more efficient. They won't have duplication of services.
Yeah, they've got dual staff, duplication of services. People bouncing back and
I
forth.
agree, but I think that there is needs for smaller sites for adoption or for some type of satellite type
Well, they
facilities.
They will continue to have their outreach events where they go to PetSmart or to other facilities and locations to have those on-site adoptions, so that they can be at various locations depending on the demand.
I think
Well, I'll have
the
to
intake and the
chew
vet-
on it a little. Okay.
We'll get you a dog chew to go with that.
A dog too.
I'll have, Josiah said chew on it.
Yeah.
No, it is an important decision, and I really do believe there is some type of need for something closer than 281 and whatever. But efficiency and the best for the pets and best for this situation. And if we could get money participation from the county and other communities, that's a win-win situation. I don't want to stop that. I just think that there is a need for some type of a satellite or drop-off or something. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Mayor, it's about 4:45. The next two items on the agenda we included for informational purposes, so we can do one more, or we can cover some executive session items
We
at
recess
the
to executive.
commission's pleasure.
This concludes the workshop of the McAllen City Commission. Workshops are held every second and fourth Monday of the month, convening at 4 p.m. at the McAllen City Commission chamber on the third floor at McAllen City Hall.